Hey, folks, this is Rebel Rousing Rich Bergeron,
Ladies and gentlemen, the Tornado Tony now. Psychic Tom Paget is all ready to go.
and we got a brand new microphone this week. Got a little USB professional rig, not as quite as good as the one that I can't plug into my old computer anymore, the big one. But it was one of the good ones. It's doing well, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we've got lots to talk about for result in MMA. I was wrong on the Bellator main event. Majorly only took 21 seconds for Ryan
21
Bader
seconds.
to get mowed down. Um, but Bellator was otherwise undefeated. Bellator swept it. Could have swept it if Ryan Bader had stepped it up a little bit, but no, he was such a size disadvantage to begin with. That's the worst two-weight champion to be is light heavyweight and heavyweight. When you're
Right,
within
right,
reach of
right.
205 pounds, like you shouldn't be fighting a
Yeah,
263-pound dude, and
yeah. I mean,
ruined
it's
it.
like a different weight division,
Ruined it.
and plus, Bader's been around a long time. I think he was on the Ultimate Fighter show back in 2008 or something like that. So probably getting a bit long in the tooth in that fight. Yeah, I always knew that would catch up to him, or I felt it would catch up to him, and it sure did.
Oh, and boxer Clarissa Shields looked like absolute crap on the ground, but managed to get a split decision. I think the judges were paid on that one. I don't know. It was it was an ugly one. On the feet. She was doing really well. She just did. She had no killer instinct when she was on the feet because she was like so afraid to get taken down, and she had her within knockout um, distance, like two or three more punches, and this girl was down, and she hesitated and hesitated and hesitated, backed up, and then came forward for like 3 seconds, and then once the grapple started, she would like freak out, and then she got on the ground and like she had no idea how to get up. She avoided submissions and everything really well, but she just had no clue, no clue how to get the fuck up at the time.
Well, sometimes
Yeah,
the same thing when grapplers try to learn the stand-up game, and some never. Some stand-up guys should learn the ground. It takes a long time. It's very difficult.
yeah, it ain't no pick.
Even the way in position, in like on like a boxing game, like to give you a perfect example, when James Toney tried his hand at MMA, so I'm like, he's not going to do well. I mean, James is a really good boxer, but if you go back and you watch James is a guy that likes to lay against the rope and counter. He is letting a guy basically get to his body. He's not keeping a distance between. He tries to do something similar like that in an MMA fight, and he lets that guy get to his body. The guy's going to take him right down, and that's what happened. Um, you're right because and now sometimes on the opposite side, you get an MMA fighter, and they're trying to fight somebody with a great stand up, and they're doing a takedown or a grapple or a ground game guy is trying to fight somebody with a good stand up game, and they come in like basically square with their head lower, right into one up every time.
Yeah,
Yeah. In the MMA, they walk into a knee or a kick or an elbow. I mean, it's hard to have it all. The only solution is to just get comfortable on the ground, and then it's like, you want to take me down, take me down. I'm not going to hold back my punches. That's the only solution. And at her age, well, no, she can do it.
yeah, just like stop fighting wrestlers.
Right? Go back to boxing. Yeah, I mean, if she's going to
Like,
stay
they had a
in MMA,
clause. They had a clause in that one. No elbows. Did you hear that in the rules? They said there's no elbows.
no.
I thought that was weird.
Well,
I guess that's because of the boxing. Maybe she's got some cuts. I don't know.
So they just made that rule for her fight.
In her fight, yeah.
Yeah,
Weird,
unbelievable.
weird.
Yeah, they setting her up for something good. Wow. Wow, he changed the rules.
Yeah,
It's incredible. It's true. Yeah,
I can believe it. I heard
so he played Joe Frazier the first time. I was like, yeah, yeah, you can't throw your left hook.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
It's weird.
But okay, I mean, you can't jab or dance. Yeah.
And yeah, so Clarissa did pretty good on the feet. She just couldn't finish it. She was very hesitant. She threw a couple kicks actually too, which is interesting. I don't know, but geez, she made it close, and then won it by decision, split decision. Before that, the hometown guy Abdullah Al Khatani paid off one leg of a parlay, but my parlays were too long, 5 and 6 when they should have been 3 and 4. Anyway, that was a bust eventually. But Abdul Al Khatani, I had across the board TKO or submission. Just based on some of the embedded episodes I watched, I pretty much figured he was going to take that dude out one way or another. And he did. Biagio Ali Walsh, I figured he'd be TKO or decision. That's what happened. It was kind of a boring decision, but he got it done. Aaron Pico wasted no time. He just took left 7 seconds on the clock in the first round with a TKO over Henry Corrales, our former guest. Looked very, very old in there. He looked kind of beaten up and like not ready for that fight. And Pico made him pay. Brutal knockout. Picked him apart really. And then starting the Bellator beating, other than the main event there, AJ McKee also got a quick finish over Clay Collard by armbar submission. And Clay was really kind of lost out there. Quick work. Yoel Romero edged out a unanimous decision over Thiago Santos in sort of a loser leaves town kind of fight. Deep journeyman. Been at it a while. And then another Bellator guy, Vadim Nemkov, beating Bruno Capoloza pretty quickly. Second round. Arm triangle choke. And the ass kicking machine, living up to his name. I had him in a parlay with a second round TKO. I figured, Ray Cooper the third's pretty durable. At least he'll make it to the second. Well, he did. Just made it 23 seconds into the second. And TKO from leg kicks and punches. And then the co-main event, Johnny Eblen. It was a striker versus wrestler situation, really. And Eblen is getting a little bit better at striking, but Kasangane, oh, he had a chance. He had a chance, couple chances. It was very back and forth, and that was one of the closest fights of the night, I believe. Just four, and it ended up being Edlin by split decision. So Bader stopped the streak. He lost to Ferreira in seconds. That would have been a bet for inside the first minute. Easy payout.
Rich, have you heard how they're going to do the format? Because the PFL had it was like seasonal, and there were standings. Uh, uh, which, have you heard what's going to happen? I mean, now that they're all one with Bellator.
What happens with the rankings?
Well, I mean, are they going to use that same format that they did with the PFL, or are they just going to go back to the regular fight card format like Bellator is using?
Well, I think
The
they're going to
PFL,
keep them separate for a little while. I mean, they didn't use the line the UFC used when they bought out shit and said business as usual. But I think they're going to keep them separate. They're going to have deals with media on both. Uh, ESPN
no,
does PFL, so Bellator is
Yeah,
homeless now because Showtime gave it up. You know, they knew they weren't going to be a part of it unless they renew a deal with Showtime. I mean, all those guys seemed pretty sad when they had to give it up, but
yeah.
maybe
So,
Showtime will take
in
it
other
back.
words, this wasn't a true marriage. It was just like a one night, a one and off, but they're the same owner, but like two different leagues.
Yeah, it's like why kill the popularity of one to join them right now when you could just see how it goes as separate units. And
Yeah,
PFL has just been given $100 million by the Saudi Arabians. I mean, that was one of the most interesting things of watching the embedded. You know, they have indoctrinated these people. They're indoctrinating them already. Like it says Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on the belts, the championship belts, which are really cool. They have a ring that pops out of them. Coolest thing ever. Mike Tyson loved it. They showed it to him. Francis Ngannou was there. Um, Lots of big names in the sports, and they were all dressing up in the garb, like the Arabian outfits and stuff. I mean, it was crazy.
well,
But
I would too for the show.
$100 million will make you do that. When you get paid $100 million by Saudi Arabia,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do that.
I'm glad the kingdom is yeah. I mean, it's truly a boon. The only issue I've got is that I'll have is sometimes timing. Like I think the Nagamu Joshua fight's on a Friday, I think, and they were talking about Friday afternoon. And I think the time's so different.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for some of us to see it. My thinking was, you better believe I'm interested in watching that one.
Yeah, I think they're going to keep them separate for now, and then have these every now and then, champion versus champion fights. I don't know what happened with the Pitbull fight. I was all excited about that, and then it just got wiped off this card. You know, I was looking forward to that. But anyway, he was in the audience, I believe, Pitbull. Uh, maybe something happened to his opponent. I don't know. There was a UFC fight canceled. Raul Rosas Jr. was sick or something like that. He couldn't get through it. He had the same Wuhan flu that I did. Maybe he'll be back in 3 weeks. Maybe. Crazy shit. So anyway, there is some shakeups in the boxing world as far as BBC.
Yeah, I heard that.
Terrence Crawford, promotional free agent now after his fight deal with PBC expired with a rematch with Errol Spence. Uh, so they,
Strange place now. That he really wants a big money fight.
yeah,
Maybe I don't know about the tennis thing. Maybe he just feels there's too much risk for the money. What do you think, Tony? That's a great point, Tom. Um, Bruce, I think, is the next big potential star in that division. But here's the problem. Right now, Bruce does not have the name Errol Spence. People were crying about the fight, the Crawford Spence fight. That was a big fight. It was a big money fight. And Crawford, obviously put on an amazing performance. Now, it could be the same thing. Crawford might, well, well, can too. We've never seen Bruce really get tested in a fight. You know, so at the same time, Bruce is now just sending where guys are in, and he might start getting that wrong. So could be like it wouldn't sell like the sense like this, but it would be a high risk fight. Now, it changed in approximately 2 months because from the last I heard, um, I know John Scully gets upset about this, but where they have interim titles, John Scully hates, right?
mhm.
So when Freddie Crawford he had to fight for an interim title, and he won that fight, And then when Crawford was stripped of the title, he turned the boots and said, "Okay, you're no longer the interim champion. You're the champion." That's a fighter, you know. You put all that hard work in, winning a title. Like it should be it's like one of the greatest hits you've made.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like, yeah, you win a title, but it's like you're an interim title. You're the champion, but you're not the champion. And then one day they're like, oh, by the way, you're the champion. Like, you don't get the celebratory moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Crawford, who was going to have the rematch with Spence, Spence had cataract surgery of all things. So the rematch clause expired, meaning that Crawford is, like Canelo, the article says, also a network and promotional free agent. Canelo had
right.
his deal expire, and so they're kind of hinting that the best deal for both of these guys is going to be to sign with the Zone and end up fighting each other, which would be a fight. But I mean, I think it's more than possible, and it might be the whole reason why both of them are splitting at this time. If you think about it,
I know Boots right now is the now considered the regular champion, I guess it's called. And he has a mandatory title defense, which is likely going to end up in the Canelo undercard. And it might be the main fight of the Canelo undercard. So he goes up there. I mean, the Collins, player that he's, you know, shining again. But you go out there, you're on a Canelo undercard. You are getting a lot of eyes on you, and you really shine. People say, so he's in the same weight class as Terrence Crawford. Boy, I bet that'd be a good fight. I'd pay to see that fight. Now, um, Canelo undercard, Canelo card in May. We don't know who it's going to be. It was supposed to be Charlo, then it be Munguia. Munguia might even be a better seller. Stylist, but the problem with like Charlo one time two.
hmm
Yeah, it's hard to talk about how to stop time. Like, once he hits you this on the arm, he's like, you know what? I'm phoning it in. I'm not putting it up to win. I'm putting it up to three not.
Okay, I have an idea. I have an idea. You do a 12-round fight,
Yeah.
and we're gonna have one one Charlo, one round, and then the next round the other brother comes out. Let's see this to the end. Let's see who
Hey, you can always see 18 used to do it, then the Pelicans started doing it. When I was a kid, it was the Philippines. They would put their masks on and they would switch to the ring. Rings could barely come apart.
Yeah.
And like the one would knock the ring and which out, out.
The twin referees. Remember they had the twin referees every now and then? They would swap places. Yeah. Yeah. That was
Um,
funny. A twin prank.
I would be a really good thing. Really good thing. We would get a panic, um, nothing, both Mexico. Now you get Vegas crap that's going out there for the Vegas fight. Be me. Your Canelo and Moigia, the Mexican fan base watching it. And then you get a lot of your casual fans. You had Terrence Crawford fighting again. Boy, he looked really good that last fight. Hey, you want to order it? Get a couple beers, get some wings? Yeah, let's order it. And now you're watching this whole card. And then Boots comes out. And, he generally has flashy funks on and stuff. And he comes out and he, just Because this guy out of the ring and look good doing it fast, sharp, impressive, and people are going to say, man, I'd like to see him fight softer. Dollar sign go up.
Yeah, huge. Right. Now, I know normally we don't like to talk about things like guys competing in female sports, females competing in male sports, but this is a good story from Maine, of all places. 17-year-old girl named Maddie Ripley um, has won the state championship against the boys, second year in a row. So it was not a fluke the first time. That's pretty tough kid. 113-pound weight class of the Class B high school wrestling championship tournament in Rumford, Maine, which is right down the street from me. It's not far. She beat a male opponent from Belfast area high school to capture her second straight title. So more power to her. And she had to undergo no operations to do it.
We know about
That we know.
we don't do spray, writer, stuff like that.
But yeah, pretty good story. Yeah, so a lot harder for a female to go into the male sport. So state title, I always remember the girl that was on our wrestling team. She took a lot of shit for girls to even be allowed to be involved. She fought for it. She got like four girls to come to the practice one day, and like they lasted 2 or 3 days, and then they were done. But she was there every day. Yeah, four kids she beat the first time. I will never forget it. He was pretty embarrassed. Anyway, so that's our news tidbits. We got results upon results upon results. We just talked about Bellator. Got a big UFC fight night. 237. I was wrong about the main event there too. I did not expect Brandon Royval to put on the show he did in decision of all things. I did not think that was going to go to decision. I figured one guy would be motivated enough to finish the other. And it really was very back and forth, ugly fight, long drawn out, and man, I don't know. I don't know if it was controversial, but Brandon Moreno being the Mexican fighter, everybody wanted him to win the stadium. So disappointing for the crowd for sure. The big surprise for me was Yair Rodriguez getting submitted by Brian Ortega.
Did you watch that fight?
Oh, I did, and wow, Rodriguez was so favored, was looking so good early, and just talk about no killer instinct. Like he could not take Ortega out of there when he had the chance, and then Ortega made him pay for
Yeah, Ortega really took a beating in that first round, but man, my part,
it.
and he's really moved up now because after the book, Billy a rematch, if Billy defends, he's going to be looking for he's going to be looking for Brian.
Yeah.
And if Brian gets him on the ground, anything can happen. Where to go first?
We had before that a lightweight match. Daniel Zellhuber beating Francisco Prado by unanimous decision. That was pretty uneventful. Yasmin Yaragli put on a show. Really, she was one of the biggest favorites in the whole fight card. Beat Sam Hughes by unanimous decision. I thought she could have knocked her opponent out, but she was very timid. It was like she was going to have a photo shoot and didn't want to mess her face up. She was very hesitant to engage at times. She fought very tactical, like she knew she was going to go to decision, and she was happy with that. I'm only bitter because I had TKO or submission. uh, Manuel Torres stopped Chris Duncan despite his impressive record. He got taken out very early, 1 minute and 46 seconds into the first round. Rear naked choke submission, done. And Torres got beat up a little bit before he sucked that, so that was a crazy one. Brownie Barcelos. Did not expect him to win by submission. I kind of messed up on my bets there. So it was going to be the TKO or decision. And he was just so desperate to get that submission. And it was odd because earlier in the fight, they said something about him dislocating something and having it popped back in. And you'd think with all the joints involved in a submission, the last thing you want to do with a busted shoulders, try to get somebody in a rear naked choke and finish it. But he did. 2 minutes and 4 seconds into the third. It was a rough fight for him, but he was a heavy favorite. Jesus was good to bet on this week. Jesus Santos Aguilar won over Mateus Madonka by split decision. And then Edgar Cherez, another heavy favorite, over Daniel Da Silva. That was a quick finish, submission triangle choke. 2 minutes and 17 seconds into that one. That was actually a catch weight at 131 pounds. We had Faris Ziam beating Claudio Pellis by split decision, the fourth fight of the night. Ronaldo Rodriguez at flyweight beating Dennis Bondar by rear naked choke submission. That was a very tactical fight, but it ended up in the finish. 1 second left in the second round. He sunk that choke in, and I don't think Bondar knew how much time was left. He was still conscious. He could have sucked up one more second. I don't think he realized he tapped out. And then Felipe dos Santos over Victor Altamirano by split decision. It's kind of a surprise. Muhammadjon Naimov, a heavy favorite over Eric Silva, and that one ended from a leg injury. Uh, Talk about some dislocation. I think he tore his ACL. Something crazy like that. All right, so now, upcoming. Biggest thing we have is, what's tomorrow? Tomorrow is the first, right? So Saturday, March 2nd, we got the heavyweights in the main event. Jairzinho Rosenstruck versus Shamil Gaziev in the main event at the UFC Apex. And Jairzinho coming off a loss to Jailton Almeida by rear naked choke. His last win was over Chris Daukaus, and it was a 23-second knockout. Lost 3 of his last 4, and Gaziev is 12-0, 8 of them by knockout, 3 submissions. The only thing he has not in his favor is he's only had 2 UFC fights, and one of them was a Dana White Contender Series. So that doesn't really count. So really his UFC experience is against Martin Buday. He went 2 rounds with him in TKO. So in the real high-level experience factor, you'd say maybe Rosenstruck has an advantage here. You got to think, he's got to win to stay in. With that kind of record, losing 3 out of his last 4. Oh, can't keep losing fights like that and keep his contract. Gaziev, though, one of those undefeated fighters. Um, Last decision was in 2022 in a feeder league. But yeah, he's got a lot of submissions, a lot of TKOs. Started off his career with a bunch of first round finishes. He's got a really good amateur career, only lost twice there. So I like Gaziev in this one. I'm going to go Gaziev by TKO or submission. I don't think Rosenstruck has it.
Yeah, I would agree. Rosenstruck is is always dangerous, but he's very limited.
And then we got,
But
yeah, go
he
ahead.
is dangerous.
He
Remember
is.
what happened to uh,
Oh, yeah.
Kareem in the last
Oh,
minute?
last second, right? Last second of the fight.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a knockout. Oh, it's brutal too. You know, it was like the MMA version of Michael Moore versus George Foreman for the title. Boom. Except George Foreman wasn't that late. It was in the 10th round, though, right? Foreman knocked him out. 10th of the 10th.
Ninth or tenth. Well, yeah.
10th of the 10th. 10th of 10, right? It was a 10 rounder for whatever reason.
No, it would have been 12.
Or would have been
That
12.
was for the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 12 rounds. Yeah, George was behind, but he didn't lose every minute of the fight like Rosenstruck.
Right,
It was
right.
never like he lost. And all of a sudden, over, didn't Kareem get a bad lip, something like that?
Oh, yeah. He's tuned up. All right, and then we've got Tyson Pedro versus Vitor Petrino. Um, Pedro is 10-4, and he lives up to the Tyson name because he's got all finishes for his wins, no decisions. 2 decision losses, 1 knockout, 1 submission, and he's won 3 of his last 4, but one of those was against the guy really shouldn't have been there, Harry Hunsucker. He was really It was really like a Peter McNeely of the UFC there for a second. Threw him to the wolves. 1 minute and 5 second knockout there. Hasn't really fought a lot of big names. This guy Vitor Petrino, another young gun, fought 3 guys in the UFC. Finished 2, decision 1, and got in with a win over Rodolfo Bellato, who that was back in 2022, who ended up getting into the UFC through the Contender Series later on, more recently. And before that, he fought for a lot of very obscure leagues, three of them. He had a little bit of an amateur career, but he's undefeated. 2 straight finishes. So I definitely think Petrino has the edge in this one. But, he could take. He's got decision. He's got a couple of decisions. I don't know. Knockout or submission for Petrino, I think. Tyson Pedro's got 1 of each. 2 decision losses. I just don't think he's fought the level of competition. I mean, he's fought more UFC fighters. He actually beat Paul Craig and Khalil Roundtree, Tyson Pedro. 2016 and 2017, though. He was very young in his career. It's pretty wild. But yeah, I don't know. He's still got it. We'll see. Well, that one could go either way. That's kind of like a 50-50 for me. Tyson, you got all of the name. You gotta go put a flyer on Tyson just in case. But yeah, he's been beat up. He's got 3 losses in his last 6. He's got mostly first round knockout pattern if he does win. So if you're gonna hedge their bet, go for first round knockout, I guess. Got a streak going. First round knockout. Sometimes those statistics kick in like a mother. All right, we got a Mohammed Mokaev, another undefeated fighter, flyweight, and 9th fight of the night. He's fighting Alex Perez. Mohammed's 11-0. He's got quite a bit of UFC fights. Cody Jordan, Charles Johnson, Malcolm Gordon, Jafel Filo, that's the only one I haven't heard of. And Tim Elliott, quite the resume. Submitted them, almost all of them, except Charles Johnson went to unanimous decision. And he's got quite the submission game, it appears. Sometimes he gets him in the third. Looks like, no, he's got all of the last three in the third round.
That's hard
Wow.
because all the sweat.
Yep.
It's much harder to get submissions early on. It's going to get it. Try to get quick.
6 of his 11 wins by submission, 2 by knockout, 3 by decision. And let's check out Alex Perez. He's 24-7. 7 submissions himself. 12 decisions. And he's lost 2 of them, but 2 no slouches. Davison Figueiredo and Alexander Pantoja both submitted him in the first round. So, and he hasn't had his own submission since 2020. Arm triangle choke. So this one's kind of easy if you're gonna really run on the fly. I'd say Makayev by submission. Easy choice. It's probably negative 1700. Anyway, maybe he picked around. We got an Nurmagomedov on this card. Not the one everybody wants, but a 16-0 Nurmagomedov. Umar fighting Bekzat Almakhan, who's 14-1 at bantamweight. I'm not really analyze that one yet. I'll do that one later. Matt Schnell, a more of a wrestler grappler type of fighter. He's capable of knockouts too. He's 16-7, fighting Steve Urseg, who looks like the biggest nerd in the world, but he'll tactically tear you apart. And he did that in his last UFC fight. It was kind of ugly and boring, but he gets it done. So, well, he's just so freaking nerdy looking. It's hilarious. Anyway, Eric Anders before that at middleweight. He's 15-8, fighting Jeremy Pickett, who's 13-10 at middleweight. We got Ludovic Klein, 20-4 with one draw at lightweight, fighting AJ Cunningham, who's 11-3. Then we got bantamweights. Ayman Zahabi, who is 10-2, fighting Javid Basharat, undefeated at 14-0. And third fight of the night, Christian Leroy Duncan, 9-1, against Claudio Ribeiro, who's 11-4 at middleweight. And a bantamweight, second fight of the night, Vinicius D. Oliveira, 19-3, fighting Bernardo Sopai, 11-2. And we got Abdul Karim Al Salwadi, 15-3, fighting Loic Radzabov, 17-5-1. Leads off tonight at lightweight. I guess we could do the same thing we do for Mexican names. If you get 4 names and you're Arabian, one of them's either Abdul or Muhammad, right?
Oh,
He's crazy. Abdul. All right, now we got boxing results to talk about. So, big female fight last Saturday, and Dinah Thorsland stayed undefeated with an 8th round TKO over Mary Romero, who was, not didn't have the best record going in. She was 9-4, false to 9-5. So Thorsland keeps the WBC and WBO World Bantamweight titles, and then we had some World Bantamweight titles on the male side in Japan. Junko Nakatani took the WBC World Bantamweight title, stayed undefeated himself, 27-0, beating Alexandro Santiago, who fell to 28-4-5. And then Jerwin Ansas got TKO'd by Takuma Inoue improves to 19-1. Phone. 19-1, and then Jerwin Ansas Came in at 34-3-2, so that's the fourth loss. That was for the WBA World Bantamweight Championship. And then Kosei Tanaka had his 20th win to go with one loss with a unanimous decision over Christian Bacasagua Rangel, 22-5-2 now. That was for the WBO World Super Flyweight title, which was vacant. By the way, that Inoue fight, that was a ninth round knockout for Inoue. Okay, that was it for that card. And we had some stuff over across the pond. We had our angel fight of the week. It's a question mark. So we don't even know what happened there. Second page. Over in Bristol, we had a guy with a good name winning his fight. Undefeated Aaron Sutton lost by split decision to Jerome Warburton. 13-1-1 coming in. Now he's 14-1 middleweight. And then we had the bunch of British titles on the line between Connor Butler, who was undefeated going in as well, 11-0-1, now 11-1-1. Jay Harris won a unanimous decision. He improves to 21-3 at flyweight. And then over in Orlando, or down in Orlando, I should say, we had some American fights going on. And Edgar Berlanga came through with his sixth-round TKO, or KO. Proves to 22-0. Just mowing people down. Padraig McCrory was undefeated. Now he's 18-1. We also had Andy Cruz beating Bayan Zamarripa Rodriguez for the IBF International Lightweight title. Rodriguez falls to 14-3. Andy Cruz 3-0. Main event there, I guess, was welterweights, 12-rounder. Shakram Gayasov won by technical decision. TD. Is that what that means? Technical decision. And he improves to 15-0 over Pablo Cesar Cano. So there must have been a cut or something. And they said, all right, we're going to the scorecard in the 11th round. Pablo Cesar Cano, 35-9-1 now, welterweight. We had the battle of the 17-1s. Antonio Vargas versus Jonathan Rodriguez. And RTD, that means retired, right? Tony?
RTD, yeah. Being retired, so it would be like he didn't come out to the fifth round.
Right. So it's seventh round stoppage there. Vargas won. So that means Rodriguez was all done. There was a UFC fight last week where the guy was so beat up, and I could not believe they put him out for the next round. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, let that guy quit. He was so good. I forget who it was, but it was a bad one. They put him back out there. Anyway, I digress. So, result. So another Jesus fight last Friday. Remember it was Jesus versus Jesus? Guess who won?
What?
Jesus versus Jesus. We talked about
No,
this last time.
hopefully not Lucifer.
Jesus versus Jesus. Jesus won. Just like Brandon versus Brandon. Brandon won. Maximiliano Jesus Verone. The undefeated Jesus battle, too. And it went 6 of 6 rounds. Uh-oh. Jesus Dario Burgos was 6-0-2 going in at lightweight. But Maximiliano Jesus won. Max Jesus. We had Max Jesus power. Unanimous decision. That was it for the big ones. All right, now we go to the schedule. What do we got coming up? Couple fights. Tomorrow night we have one over across the pond. Abbas Barrow, 14-1, fighting Sam Eggington, 34-8 at super welterweight for a vacant EBU European super welterweight title. It's big action over there. And we got an IBF International Super welterweight title that's vacant. And it's Joe Biden, one of Joe Biden's favorite fighter. Suck deep.
Marky?
Suck deep. Singh Bhatti. He's 17-0 fighting Gino Natalio Godoy, who is 30-3. And that is a world title capable fight. I don't know. I mean, one of the guys is number 81 in the world. Well, he's 17-0. You see a lot of world title fights with worse records. That's going on in Toronto. Biden's leaving the country to watch Saturday. Let's see. Some stuff in Japan. Some stuff in Poland. Adam Kownacki is fighting in Poland for the Republic of Poland heavyweight title, which is vacant. It's 20-4 at
Yeah,
heavyweight.
I thought he was gonna hang it up after that last fight.
Well, I don't think he has
You
anything
think
to
he
worry about
should?
with this guy.
You know what? It's
Well,
ironic. It's ironic. Now, I haven't looked at his record since that last fight. Um, when he was undefeated, um, back until 2020, and it's actually coming up. It's going to be like right around this weekend of 2020 that he had his first loss, to Robert Delaney. Now, kind of ironic it was a friend of myself and my dad, an older gentleman, um, was a Polish gentleman, and we got him to start watching out of Kanaki. And every time he'd yawn, we'd be like, call him up. We'd be like, hey, Bill, the Polish kid, the heavyweight fight tonight. And
mhm.
he'd watch it every time.
Yeah.
Now, that Bill passed away in February of 20. It was the day after the second Wilder Fury fight. He passed away that Sunday. A week or so later, Adam Kanaki's fighting Hellenius, and Hellenius wins in an upset. And then for the rematch, Hellenius wins again. And then, Kanaki lost, and then he said he was going to retire, but he came back, and he took that other good fight, but he took that loss. The thing that he was fighting, I'm forgetting his name right now. But we're like, wherever Bill is right now, hopefully he's up. We're like, in his eyes, Kanaki's still undefeated, because when he passed away, Kanaki was undefeated. So those 3 or 4 or 5 losses don't count. Not in his eyes.
Right. There's a lot of action this weekend. Continuing through the list, looks like the zone is really got a lock on the best stuff right now. Everybody else is in limbo. The zone, they've got a good card featuring another former guest of ours, Amanda Serrano, and she's a lock in this one, I believe. At featherweight, she's fighting number 4 in the world, Nina Meinke, who's 18-3, and we got not one, not two, not three, but 4 world featherweight titles on the line. We got an alphabet soup of titles. WBO, WBA, IBO, and IBF. And usually she wins by decision, but this girl's only got half, not even half as many entire fights, never mind wins. Uh, I think Serrano's the score. We got a main event of Jonathan Gonzalez, 27-3-1 against Renee Santiago, 12-3 for the WBO World Light Flyweight title. And nothing super special on the undercard. We got one here. Christopher Diaz-Velez, 27-4 against Headley Scott, who's 18-1 at super featherweight. And then we got another DAZN card from the Yas Links Golf Course in Abu Dhabi, of all places, on ESPN Knockout, whatever that is, and DAZN on Saturday. We got super featherweights. Jawad Belmedi, he's 19-1-3, fighting Alfred Lamptey, who's 13-0. Super featherweight. Wow. Okay, second page here. Saturday. Okay, another one big fight card on ESPN Plus. We've got Luis Alberto Lopez fighting Rhea Abe in the main event for the IBF World Featherweight title. Like all the fucking light guys are fighting this week. Is that because like the heavyweight fight's coming up later in the month? It's ridiculous. Alberto Lopez 29-2. Abe is 25-3-1. Then we got Odebek Kolmatov undefeated at 12-0, fighting Raymond Ford 14-0-1 for the WBA World Featherweight Championship, which is vacant. And then not Brian Norman Senior, but Brian Norman Jr. is 25-0, fighting Jameson Figueroa Boca Chica 17-2-1 at welterweight. Nothing else super special on the undercard. We got some of these O's got to go fight. But we've got one in the Raymond Ford versus Kolmatov fight too. Stop. We got a Floyd fight of the week. Floyd Diaz 10-0 fighting Edwin Rodriguez, who's 12-7-2 with bantamweight. That's it. This is you gotta love the Japanese, boy. They have a lot of names with FUK in them.
Oh, yeah.
I should know. One of my roommates at the Air Force Academy was Fukamoto. It was called Fukamoto. So Sunday there's a fight card in Kanata Gym in Fukachimachi. I'm sure they pronounce it Fukachimachi. Anyway, nobody would know in that card. And that's it until next week.
All right. Well, if I get the link for my TV appearance tonight, I'll send it to you guys. And if I hear anything more about the job situation, provided I don't get written up tomorrow for my mouthing off on their public forum.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, hold on, buddy.
Tell them you know.
I'll give it the year. I'll say this. The announcement came out 1 month ago today, January 20th. Came out via video message. It wasn't mentioned in the town hall. It was in November, which now makes sense because the new mayor didn't take office until January. The new mayor came in and said, probably had plans, coming in. The plans said, okay, here's what I'm implementing. And probably turned around and said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to come back. And, either you're going to get tax break or you're going to get penalty. And companies like, well, I'm looking for break. Fuck our people, So people have been all these negative comments on their negative comments. And the one comment I wrote was something I learned from Dr. Comics nearly 30 years ago. I may have said this on the air before. It was at the end of the season. I forget if it was 1996, 1997. And we had, a really challenged, it was a long year. Season started in September. It was ending around April. It was a long season. And somebody on the team said, I'm glad it's done. I'm really burnt out. Dr. Cox said, what'd you say? I'm burnt out. He goes, no. They're going to never say that here in my gym again.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, there's a difference between burnout and fatigue. Hey, fatigue happens to all of us, You're working. You won't have a work week. You work 5 days, you get 2 days off. Definitely. He's like, so you've been working, and it's like you might need some time to recharge the battery. Take a few weeks off, Because burnout is when the reward you receive is not worth the sacrifice you put in.
Yeah.
You're getting up and you're going to work and you're like, and you're leaving and you're just, you're just, and it's not even to the point like you're angry anymore. It's not like you're like, this bullshit. It's like you're like, it's like a down, like where you're not fired up about things. You was more like,
Yeah.
it's like you have no more to forgive. You're burned out. It's the truth. And it's like, you look at that, it's like, so you're making people commute hours a day. You need to be doing something else, whether that's sleeping in, or getting up and going for a jog, or, going to the gym in the morning, or walking a dog, taking their kids to the bus. All these things that enrich their life is you're now draining them of it. And you know what's going to happen? People are going to be like, you know what? It's that. I'm going to work for like, now I even said on my meeting the other day, we get a bonus in 2 weeks. It's going to be, I'm going to get a significant bonus. I'm probably going to get close to $4,000. Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Last year around this time, hey man, we're getting our bonus coming up in a couple of weeks. I think mine was around 3,700, 3,800. I was so happy and I was so excited. Hey, we're getting this bonus. We found out what our percentage was. It was higher than we expected. And it was like, man, and everybody was happy. Now it's like, I'm getting a bonus in 2 weeks. I don't really care. Because the sacrifice is not worth the reward,
Yeah.
right? And now,
Well,
next
job
month, I
market
get a
is
raise.
just so wide open right now
Now,
too.
the last year, I got two raises. I got, our cost of living increase, which for most people was 2.5%. And I said, you know what, Tony, you did such a great job this year, and you've been really mentoring other people, and you really worked hard, and you did all this. That's the 2.5 standard increase. We're giving you 5%. And I said, wow, thank you. I appreciate it. I was excited. I was thankful. I was happy. If you said to me right now, we're giving you 5%, yeah, big deal. And then a month after I got the 5% raise, they told me again, they said, listen, we actually want to promote you to a senior rep. And they gave me another 5% raise. So I got a 10% raise in a span of a month. Right now, a 10% raise, I'm like, yeah, that's good. Thanks. Okay.
I'm leaving in
And
a
I'm like,
month.
no, because I don't care. I don't want to put the effort in anymore. The reward I'm going to receive is no longer worth the sacrifice it's going to take.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that dilemma. We hope it works out in your favor. Um, Tom's gonna read your fortune now.
Yeah. Tom, give me some winning lottery numbers. uh, man, just keep the aggression on them, though, Tony. That's your personality, don't change it. Right. Right. And I'm, and like we have, I, I don't know her well. The last time I spoke with this woman in the office, she and I had words. And when I first started there 10 plus years ago, we were in training, building, and so many people that like, in your face, they're annoying. Like, hi, new person. My God, you're new here.
Mhm.
I know, exactly. And then we moved down to the city a couple years later. I was miserable. That's when I took that job off like flying, and I enjoyed that. I had like two groups of colleagues now, and commute was better. I was close to the gym, and I was down in the city office for a holiday lunch for one day. I took my holiday lunch. And the one girl on our team was taking a promotion, so she was getting ready to move her desk. And this annoying woman was like, there is a desk opening up, just saying. I said, no, thank you. I'm happy where I'm at. You don't have to get that kind of an attitude. A lot of people have to come to the office every day. Makes you so special.
Mhm.
I said, the fact of on site stabilizing our most volatile client and keeping them from, um, you know, leaving when their contract is up, Yeah, that's what kind of makes me so special. But we kind of got really snippy, and so now, like a few months ago, like they were giving out like free lunches the one day in the office for the people that were there. So they did a video announcing they were giving out free lunches, and they put it on the video. She's like, "Oh my, you're generous!" And I said to somebody, "I'm like, did you see a horrible acting performance? That was the worst thing I've ever seen." Someone goes, "I don't think she's acting. I think that's her overbearing and annoying personality." So within a week of this announcement, they decide they're coming out with a branded clothing line, a company. And so you can go on and you can order. Not free. You order and you pay for it. Sweatshirts, hoodies, green, tumblers, magnets, and people are like, "Oh wow, that sounds really cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, great, yeah." Like, I hate this place. I don't even like, I want to be guys. What's with my own money?
Yeah, that's funny.
Somebody
We're gonna promote you to executive vice president with that attitude.
yeah, my team leads of my men, they've been sending out tokens of appreciation to people. And they sent one to the one girl, and she's like, "Oh my god, I got this token of appreciation." I'm like, "I hope I don't get one."
Mm.
I did a week later. I got it. I almost threw it out. It was it was like a winter beanie hat, like one of those like balls on top,
Yeah.
and a pair of gloves. I don't know if the randomly grabbed, and yeah, pair of gloves. Randomly grabbed because they're not men's gloves. So like, where's send everybody these gloves? Did you look at my name? You sent it to them. Well, were um, they were like, well, first of all, they were beige, and I don't like the color beige. They looked girly. Second of all, they were gender neutral. They just took the size of them. And if you look at if you size the club that reside at the end of my wrist, things are gonna fuck. So what kind of honey, what kind of hat? You kind of what?
Winter hat.
I gave you a hat, that's something. The winter hat with one of those balls on top. Well, and I'm like, I'm not wearing it for one. Like, if I want to wear a hat with a ball on it, I have no problem with that because in Italian we call it a cupolini.
Hmm.
So wear a hat with a cupolini. I have no problem with that. But I'm going to wear one that my grandma used to make them on. I wear them as going up. I'm not wearing that one because it's in beige. And it says in I want to wet my ass with it. But I said, I was going to. First thing I was going to do, I was going to return to sender. So they said, "Oh,
And that's when the Tornado Boxing League began.
yeah." And I was going to send them a picture of me throwing it out. I was going to donate it to the veterans
All right.
and make them wear it.
You're going to be Philadelphia. You're going to be Philadelphia's next boxing promoter coming out of nowhere.
Yeah. So
There's got to be something going on there. You can
yeah,
get
it's a
involved
fun
in.
story. I don't know. The one the one thing came out today on the line, and a few of us came out there. We were pretty rude about it. They came out and they're like, "There's survey last year. That is ranked one of the best places to work in the company." I said, "Wait till this year's survey comes out."
Yeah. Well, it sounds a lot
But
like
yeah,
you need to do an office space movie, Tony. Your own sitcom.
I'm emailing people in the mayor's office.
Oh, Jesus. Don't get yourself
Yeah,
in
right?
too much trouble.
So what?
Don't get yourself in too much trouble.
It's not a house. One girl that works for our company, she posted something on LinkedIn, and she was talking. A woman had posted something. Is like a director of like something with the city, and posted it trying to get more people on. So this girl was a colleague of mine. Like, and then the one woman that works in the church, a real life story.
Hmm.
Girl wasn't I wrote
Yep.
I wrote this woman.
Nice.
I mean, I like a paragraph, things like, not something, you know, put it in the man. First was on
Nice.
Tony, Tony with Tony.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Like, what kind of career do you want to be in? Like, you pretty much can name your place that you go at this point. I mean, there's got to be like a million jobs available with your skill set. So think about it like that. No matter what happens, you're gonna get your bonus and probably like quit right after, right? Can you do that?
Um, hang out.
Yeah.
We get my bonus. I'm going to take my vacation following week, and then I'm going to come back and let's days in April. I might even just feel them up. Like, I need a mental health. Um, now I have accrued 15. I have 42 days of vacation this year.
Ah,
Those have accrued 42, so it's like I've accrued 15.
yeah.
So I need like 15 days. Just had a 17 accrued, they would charge me.
Oh boy.
So I will use as many. I told the supervisor for last year. Then on end of the year review, we went over the hey, my my team,
Yeah.
we were the main project on our team in North Way. We were playing willing to benefit, willing to stay late, willing to the next round, willing to take on a fight, willing to the thing as long as we were saying the glove going. Well, in my case, the gloves going. In hockey, they say the draw. I think the draw. Calvert. Well, I'm going to forward this to you.
I started talking back to corporate at the newspaper, and I don't work for the newspaper anymore. I gave him too much
Now,
truth.
this big job, Tony. You
Yeah.
forget that, you know. I mean, right now, that's what I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I the gym this morning. Hard workout. I pulled back into my house. And I was watching 7:52. I started planning my day. Still in a tank. I've worked in a tank every day. It's another expense. Office requirement.
Yeah. Well, you should definitely on your last day there, like dress up in something outrageous and be like double.
Walk in, yeah, so you
Like a
mean like
pro
walk in,
wrestler.
meeting, exactly.
Or like a pro
Get
wrestler.
locked.
It's Ultimate
Oh,
Warrior.
I definitely would. Right.
That'd be funny. Nobody would get the reference. Anyway. All right. Till next week. Good luck with those issues.
All
Uh,
right, guys. Enjoy the fight. All right. See you guys.
thanks for stopping by.